Tunggan ko?
Oh, tutunggan na ka. Okay, 1, 2, 3, start. So, good day, ma'am. Good day, everyone. We are the Section A, and for today's topic, we're going to discuss what is verb. But before that, let me introduce to you my co-reporters, Romel Montoya, Nina Jane Hermoso, Justin Yakuna, Jarek Tijares, and yours truly, Justine Imbate. So let's start. What is verb? So verb is a word or a group of words that expresses the time while showing an action, occurrence, or state of being that something exists. It is perhaps the most important part of speech in English. For a sentence is impossible without it. So for a sentence is impossible without it kasi we construct our word with verbs. So, ang sunod sa atong sentence, ang sunod sa atong context is kasagara gyud mga verb. So, lisod magbuhat og word without verb. So, to simply understand and to simply remember what is verb, verb is an action word. So, when we say action word, it is verb. So, next slide, please. So, there are kinds of verbs. So, first, we're going to discuss what is regular verbs. So, a regular verb is a verb that forms its past and past participle from adding D or ED to the present form. So, by adding D or ED daw, so when we say present, wala siya karon, wala pa siya ED. So, when the action is already done, it's already past, then nata mag-add og ED. Like, for example, activate. Activated because humana siya na itabo. We add D or ED. Then in a case, activate, we add only D because nana siya E sa last, diba? Sa activate, so D na lang. Sa past participle, have activated. So maybe you're wondering, anong na I have? So have is one of the example of helping verbs. Yung may helping verbs is yung mga has, have, had. So this is used to express a perfect aspect. So work, have work, investigate, investigated, have investigated. So that is what regular verb is. So next slide, please. Next slide. So number 2, irregular verbs. So an irregular verbs is one whose past and past participle is formed in ways other than adding D or ED to present form. So other than adding D or ED. So there are some words na malahi siya sa present, malahi siya sa past. So like for example, teach, mahimo siyang taught. Sa past participle naman, verbs with the same past and past participle. So the same na daw sila past o past participle. Kung mo ni siya nga words na atong makuan, ma-encounter, pares na daw sila og parehas ra gihapon natong gamiton sa iya sa past and past participle. Touch, I teach, taught, taught. Hold, held, held. Catch, caught, caught. So the same lang gyapon sila. So that is what irregular verb is. So verb with the same present and past participle. So these are words na balag, present, or past and past participle. Okay ra siya. It's a word by itself. Di na siya kailangan nga malahi-lahi. Pwede na siya nato siya magamit sa present, past, and past participle. Bed, burst, spread, heat, hurt, quit, sit. Nana siya. Pwede na siya. It's either magamit siya sa any kind sa situation. Next slide. Verb that change in other ways. So these are verbs na malahi siya. Kay para ma-identify nato siya is kung kanus siya mahitabo or kanus baka di siya nahitabo. For example, arise. Sa ang past are past purple arise the last part so is arisen. So bite, bit, bitten. Forget, forgot, forgotten. Break, broke, broken. Drink, drunk, drunk. So mo na siya. So na yung mga pares ra gyapon pero murag lahi lang og spelling. So may I call the attention of Mr. Montoya to please discuss what is transitive verb. So please, Mr. Montoya.
Hello, good day everyone. According to the structures, number one, a transitive verb expresses an action and it's followed by an object that receives the action of the verb. For example of this is the funding agencies approve the project proposal. The agencies which stands as a subject and the approve as the transitive verb, and it follows by the direct object which is the proposal. The second example is the judge criticized the performer. The judge stands as a subject and the transitive verb is the criticize, and the performer stands as the direct object. It's also followed the transitive verb. The second slide. Wait for the slide. The verbs approved and criticized are transitive verbs. Their actions are received or passed to the objects or proposals and performer. Number two, an intransitive verb expresses an action but is not followed by an object. Applying what or whom test on an intransitive verb shows immediately that an object does not follow. The example of summer vacation in the Philippines starts from last week of March or April. The vacation stands as a subject and the start stands as an intransitive verb. As we can see in the example, there are no direct object which is in the meaning of the intransitive verb. It expresses an action but it not followed by an object. The second example is the marked list performance in class improved with the help of a tutor. The performance stands as a subject and the improved stands as an intransitive verb. As usual, it has no direct object for it is not gonna be followed by an object. The verb start and improviser, intransitive. Their actions are not received or passed to an object. Number three. A linking verb or copulative verb is a word that links or establishes a relationship between the subject with its predicate. They never show action, but they merely connect or complement with the subject. An example of this is John became the branch manager of a Jollibee in Salain, Misamis Rizal. The linking verb is became a linking verb for it connects Jam and the branch and the settings or the branch manager of Jollibee in Salain, Misamis Rizal. And the second example is many of my friends are teachers. The R stands as a linking verb for it connects many of my friends and the word teachers. The four is the auxiliary or helping verbs are those that are combined with actions, verbs to express ideas exactly. The help expresses the meaning of the main verb. There are types of groups or the helping verbs. The first is the B group. The am, is, are, was, where, be, been, being. The second group is the have group. Has, have, had. And the third is the do group, which is the do, does, did. And the fourth is the modal auxiliaries, which stands as may, might, must, can, could, shall, should, will, would. In the example, first example, it stands as the B group, which is the S. The example is Mike is working too hard for his family. The S stands as the modal or the auxiliary, as the auxiliary or the helping verbs, where it stands there for describing Mike what is to do for his family. And the second example is I have purchased a round-trip ticket to Thailand for December next year. The have stands as the auxiliary or the helping verb. And the third is she does believe in the power of prayers. The does stands as the auxiliary or the helping verb for she believes in the prayer or the power of the prayer. The fourth is the I might resign and try my luck abroad. So might stands as the auxiliary or the helping verb, which stands as the modal auxiliaries. The verb is, have, does, might are used to help express the meaning of the main verbs working, purchase, believe, and resign. So the next topic will be discusses or will be given by Nina Jane Ramoso. Thank you.
Attributes of verbs. So, next slide please. Tense. So at the top of the table is the tense, and under tense is the present. There are 4 types or branches of tense: simple, progressive, perfect, progressive. In simple, we'll just add s in the last. Example of this is investigate. In simple, mahimo siyang investigates. So let's move on to progressive. We'll use is or are and add ing. Perfect. Progressive is are and add ing. Is investigating. Are investigating. Perfect. Has have investigated. Perfect progressive has have been investigating. Sa perfect progressive, we will add has have. We will use has or have and then add been plus ing. Has have been investigating. Next slide, please. Past. Simple. We will just add ed. Investigated. Conducted. Progressive. We will use was or were and add ing. Was, were, was investigating, were investigating. Perfect. Had investigated, had conducted. Perfect progressive had been investigating, had been conducting. Future, simple, will investigate. We will just, in simple tense, we will just add will. Will investigate. Sa progressive, we will just add will be and then add ing. Will be investigating, will be conducting. Perfect, will have. And then will have investigated. Add d or no, add ed. Will have investigated, will have conducted. Perfect progressive, will have been investigating, will have been conducting. Sa perfect progressive, we will just add ing sa last. Next reporter will be Justin Carl Lacuna.
A. Simple tenses. Simple present tense denotes present time, expresses habitual action, general truth, and permanent condition. For example, and so these are the example. Andre believes in the existence of unseen being. The underlined word, which is the believes, is our simple present tense, which is denoting the present time or expresses habitual action. Example number 2. I drink 10 glasses of water a day. So, in this example, the underlined word, which is drink, it is the permanent condition or the expresses habitual action. Simple past tense denotes past time. The photographer captured the scene at Igig Cavalry Hills. The underlined word was captured, or this word from the present tense, which is the capture, or the action was taken already. Sample number 2. We swam all day at Pagudpud Beach Resort yesterday. The underlined word is swam, which is the action was taken, done. Simple future tense denotes that action will be taking place in some future time. Marafi will deliver her valedictory address on Monday, the graduation day. The underlined word, which is will deliver, or Marafi say we're just having a deliver his birthday address on Monday. Example number 2. We should celebrate our second year wedding anniversary on the 11th of November. Next slide, please. B. Perfect tense. Present perfect tense signifies that the action started in the past and still going on in the present. This form by using non-auxiliary has or have plus the past participle from the verb. For example, this has already published a book on ballistics. So in this example, the underlined words are has and publish. The underlined word has are the helping verb or the auxiliary. And the published word is the past participle from the verb. 2. Past perfect tense signifies that an action happened in the past and another action took place. This form by using the auxiliary verb had was the past participle of the verb. Daniel had finished his manuscript when Jenny called. So in this example, the helping verb or the auxiliary verb had next to him are the word which is finish are the past participle from the verb. Example number 2. The participants had taken their snacks before the program started. Future perfect tense signifies that an action will be completed or perfected in some future time. This form by using the auxiliary verb will have or shall have plus the past participle from the verb. For example, we will have submitted the document for NBC 461 by this time tomorrow. The underlined word is the will have submitted. So will have submitted the document for NBC 461 by this time tomorrow. Next slide. Progressive tense. Present progressive tense describe an ongoing action that is happening at the same time the statement is written. This tense is formed by using is, are, the verb from ending in ing. For example, the professor is checking the final requirements of his students. Number 2. The city license for teachers which is verb which used action was happening ending burner was as the student arrived. Some little was delivering. So it was already said. First, this or continue that penalty is this tense is formed by using will be with the verb form ending in ing. For example, Mr. Alviso present completed an ongoing researches because RAP next month. Example number 2. Ay, yan pa. The underlined word in this example will be presenting, which is describes an ongoing continuous action. Kasagutan is, describe niya nga, si Mr. Agbiso mag-present most of the things that uniform was here will be things doesn't appear the sure. Ongoing action could be for some specified time using being and preserved for in for some place for the underline word which is the perfect progressive. But cannot being so 21. Next slide. Continuing by the verb. The verb bigger. Hindi, is the haming ko sa our the next reporter will be
Subject. Next slide. I green number is the first that needs care and is and uh, you to take a plural verb. You may complete you operation of my number. Don't confused by the words that come between the subject and verb. This intervening word like members as well as the chairman at symbol verb agrees with the main subject and not with the prepositional phrase or object of the of phrase that follows it. For example, the, the door of the academic building need to be repainted. The order of the three ladies has not been delivered. Next slide. Number 5. When sentences start with three, with there, or here, the subject will always be placed after the verb. Care needs to be taken to identify it correctly. There is a problem with your eyes. Here are papers you requested. Number 6. Subjects don't always come before verbs in questions. Make sure you accurately identify before deciding on the proper verb form to use. For example of this is, does mother usually stay home on weekends? Where are the documents I requested you to submit? Number 7. If two subjects are joined by and, they typically require a plural verb form. For example of this is, reading and watching are my favorite pastimes. The owner and the taker of the house love to travel. Number 8. The verb is singular if the two subjects joined by and refer to the same person or thing. For example of this is, rice and fish makes a good dish. The executive secretary and board member is the honoree. Number 9. When compound subject is composed of a negative and positive elements, the verb agrees with the affirmative one. For example, for this is the director, not the procedures, deserves an applause. The, the parents, not the child, need guidance and counseling. Next slide, please. Number 10. If one of the words each, every, or no comes before the subject, the verb is singular. For example, for this is no smoking or drinking is allowed inside the campus. Every man and woman is required to be executive suit. Number 11. If the subjects are both singular and are connected by the words or, nor, neither nor, either or, and not only but also the verb is singular. For example, for this is Kelvin and Dexter is to blame for the accident. Singing and dancing has to be presented during the orientation program. Number 12. If the subjects are both singular and are connected by the words or, nor, neither nor, either or, not only but, also, the verb is plural. For example, for this is parents and children are to attend the meeting with the president. Not only the students but also the faculty members will have the wear prescribed uniform. Number 13. If one subject and one plural and the words are connected by the words or, nor, neither nor, either or, and not only but also, you use the verb form of the subject that is carrier of the verb to the verb. For example, for this is neither the projects nor the term paper was submitted by the student. Either you or I am assigned the proctor of examination. Number 14. The only time when the object of the preposition factors into the decision of plural or singular verbs form is when noun and pronoun subjects like some, have, none, more, all, etc. are followed by the prepositional phrase. Is this in these sentences the object of the preposition determiners the form of the verb. For example, for this is most of the products have been sold. Some of the investments of the firm seem to have been affected by the market changes. Number 15. Words of phrases that express periods of times, weights, amount of money taken as a unit are generally singular. For example, for this is liters of oil was required to get the car running. 2 gallons of whitewash is all the dentist needs. Number 16. Fractions and percentages carry singular verbs. However, where an of phrase follows them, the verbs agree with the objects of the phrase or not with the fractions of the or percentages. For example, for this is half of the box fruits were rotten. Number 17. 90% approves the conduct of an outreach program at Punta Gorda, Hasaan, Misamis. Indefinite pronouns typically take singular verbs. For example, for this is no one was willing to ask question. Everyone wants passing mark. Number 18. Except for the pronouns few, many, several, both, all, some that always take the plural form. Example, few were left alive after the tsunamis. Others overlooked the difficulties. Number 19. When verbal such as gerund and infinitives are used as the subject of the sentence, they take the verb form of the verb. But when they link and they are and take the plural form, Example for this is to collect slums is an expensive hobby. Smoking cigarette and drinking liquor cost a lot of money. Number 20. Nouns plural in form but singular in meaning. Take a singular verb. Muscles threatens lives of children. Physics makes me sick. Number 21. Mass nouns or things that cannot be counted are singular unless they are preceded by lots of pieces of kinds of a collection of and like. For example for this is the chalk is enough for the board work. The pieces of chalk are nowhere to be found. Number 22. Titles of books, movies, short stories, poems, novels, and others are treated as singular and take singular verb. Example, in your eyes stars Claudine, Richard, and Anne. Edgar Allan Poe's The Bells makes a good piece for speech choir. Number 24. Sentences beginning with the expression the number take the singular verbs while sentences beginning with the a number take up plural verbs. The number of applicants in the call center world grows each year. A number of test takers in the criminologist board exams are now waiting for the result. Number 25. A clause used as a subject needs a singular verb. For example, is whatever kind of family you have does not matter to me. What you are is God's gift to you. And that's all for today's discussion. I hope you learned a lot in this discussion and thank you for listening.